The video shows Italians panic buying Chinese goods in supermarkets, not because of discounts, but because Poland has blocked the China-Europe railway, halting its operations. It is said that Poles even dismantled some railway connections with Belarus. Politicians focus on the grand narrative of international political struggles, while ordinary people care only about their wallets. Since the supply of goods is disrupted, people buy as much as they can before prices rise. Europe's economy is not doing well, and people's living pressures are gradually increasing. Western Europeans understand that Poland is not an easy country to deal with. China's diplomatic efforts with Poland have yielded no results. China tried to resolve the issue by offering special rare earth permits and increasing transit fees, but Poland politely declined. In the short term, Chinese goods can only reach Europe through other routes, such as the Suez Canal, the Cape of Good Hope, or the Arctic route. Compared to the China-Europe railway, these transport modes are far less efficient and stable. For Western European customers needing electronics and industrial components, sea transport extends delivery times, requiring suppliers to stockpile goods, which raises costs. Clearly, Western European countries and China are the losers, while Poland loses some transit fees and may even face Chinese sanctions. The biggest beneficiaries are the United States and Russia. The United States can further divide the EU, letting them fight internally for easier control, while also curbing China's foreign trade to gain negotiating leverage. Russia hopes China and Europe cut off trade, and if trade must continue, Russia prefers China use its long-prepared Arctic route, allowing Russia to profit. The EU's biggest mistake was its eastward expansion, admitting Baltic states and Poland. These countries, long controlled by the Soviet Union, harbor deep hostility toward Russia. Fearing reoccupation, they hold firm anti-Russia stances. These nations often prioritize ideology over economic interests and fully support U.S. policies, relying on the United States to counter Russia. Lithuania, for example, has repeatedly antagonized China, not out of direct enmity, but to please the United States. This is exactly what the United States wants, fostering watchdogs near major competitors to constantly harass them. After the Soviet Union's collapse, Russia once sought to join NATO. The Russians were not joking. They had surrendered completely, their domestic assets plundered by foreign capital, and their military deterrence against the West plummeted. The Soviet Union split into 15 countries, leaving Russia unable to compete with the United States. If Russia had integrated into Europe or joined the EU, would the world's center remain in the United States or shift back to Europe? The United States feared European reconciliation most. When France and Germany reconciled, forming the European Community, the EU's predecessor, it already threatened U.S. hegemony. If Russia joined, Europe would surpass the United States in territory, resources, population, economy, military, and technology. Would the United States allow this? Thus, the United States first cultivated Eastern European watchdogs to divide Europe. I do not consider Russia's historical invasions of neighbors glorious, but if I recall correctly, Poland, when powerful, was also expansionist. Ukraine, now ravaged by Russian warfare, was oppressed by Poland during its strong periods, just like Russia. If we follow a logic of vengeance, Britain and France fought the 100 Years' War, and Austria was ousted from Germany by Prussia. Endless hatred and retaliation have no end. After the U.S. Civil War, the nation promoted unity over grudges, but facing Europe's divisions, the United States chose to stoke conflicts. Many overlook that the EU, at its peak after the Eurozone's formation, economically outpaced the United States with a strong euro. By 2015, the United States overtook it, and now the EU lags far behind, with few high-tech industries left. This decline was swift, similar to the time it took the United States to undermine Japan. Why did the United States succeed so easily? It cultivated European proxies who prioritized Washington's texts and emails over their nation's interests, priding themselves on preaching liberal democratic values. In 2010, the United States instigated the Arab Spring, creating a flood of refugees into Europe. U.S. proxies like Ursula von der Leyen and Annalena Baerbock, lacking political acumen, took key roles in Germany and EU institutions. Facing U.S. conspiracies and overt bullying, Europe lies fragmented, at the mercy of its opponent. After Merkel's retirement, political clowns like Macron and Scholz shout about European autonomy but take no real action. With Britain exiting the EU after its undercover mission, the EU's strength is diminished, struggling to compete with unified powers like the United States and China. I believe the EU has lost its reason to exist. If Germany elects a party with independent thinking, it could form a new, tight-knit treaty alliance with France, Austria, Italy, and Spain. This requires France to abandon unrealistic ambitions of leading the alliance, building on France's military strength and Germany's economic power to form a new EU with a joint military, diplomatic body, and federal government. Eastern European countries and ideologically driven small states are outright liabilities to the EU. Slow decision-making severely hampers the alliance's competitiveness. If Poland, the Baltic states, and Ukraine are excluded from this new alliance, their true colors will soon show. They are not as brave as they appear. Even with U.S. backing, they would not dare cause trouble. Europe needs independence. If it forever follows U.S. orders, it will keep declining. Do not fear NATO's dissolution. Today's Russia would not dare invade a truly unified Europe. Let Ukraine, Poland, and the Baltic states face Russia. If they fall, Russia will not grow stronger, as they were never significant. The Soviet Union did not defeat the West by controlling them, nor will Russia revive by gaining them. Frankly, Europeans may not realize how laughable they are. With per capita GDP several times China's, you cannot afford air conditioning. To provoke you, some Chinese pig farms have air-conditioned pigsties. Look at the tech products in your life. Software or hardware, how many are European? Talk less about Russian threats and more about the stench of urine on Paris streets or people collapsing in 40-degree heat. That is more practical.